Welcome to Chatham. So Chatham has rather a bad reputation, and it is, in fact, the second most dangerous major town of Kent. Now in 2021, the stats equated to 116 crimes committed per 1,000 people. Obviously not very good. Now, while most people think this is a relatively unremarkable place, and suburbanly for the most part it is, I'm not going to bother showing you the town centre. I don't really want to go there, to be honest. But there are some hidden gems here that I'm going to show you. Okay, here I am at Fort Amherst. Believe it or not, this place is in Chatham, and you can overlook the rather unremarkable town if you wish. Now, this is really well kept by the English Heritage Trust. This is the largest fortress that was built to protect the River Medway. Reason being, the dockyards just down there is where Lord Nelson constructed HMS Victory, which was used to win the Battle of Waterloo. I believe this whole thing was constructed in 1756, and it's a pretty important landmark. There's some interesting tunnel features I'm going to show you too. Now, there's a funny reason why I actually had to remake this video. Reason being is because I got something so drastically wrong, I was horrendously embarrassed. Fortunately, not too many people saw it before I put it down. That's why I've re-edited it. This geezer here, he might look like Napoleon, but he's not. This is Lord Nelson, supposedly. It's not very well kept though. If you was wondering, it's called Fort Amherst because it's named after Lieutenant William Amherst, who defeated the French in Newfoundland, a Canadian province. Now, I don't know if anyone's watched one of my previous videos where I talk about the bollards in London being old Napoleonic cannons. Well, I've got a few here. Hey, look at that. Turn that 90 degrees. That's a London bollard. How have I linked this to a video I did ages ago? Also, interesting fact. Not all cannons fired balls.
There will come a soldier who carries a mighty sword. He will tear your city down. Olay, olay, oh Lord. Olay, 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 oh Lord. He will tear your city down. Olay, olay, oh Lord. And there will come a poet whose weapon is a sword. He will slay you with his tongue. Olay, olay, oh Lord. Olay, 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 oh Lord. He will slay you with his tongue. Olay, olay, oh Lord. And there will come a ruler whose brow is laden with thorn, smeared with oil like David's boy. Olay, olay, oh Lord. Ole, 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 oh Lord. Sing it all like David's boy. Ole, ole, oh Lord. Ole, 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 oh Lord. He will tear your city down. Ole, ole.
What's great about these places is they're nice little relics to remind you that these were really, really important once upon a time. The River Medway, for example, needed protecting at all costs, because even down to things like gunpowder came from Faversham, and it used to come to Chatham. And believe it or not, whilst you might see in movies and stuff gunpowder barrels being huge, that isn't actually the case. It's somewhat of a myth. They're actually they're in these tiny little barrels, so they could put them down chutes into the tunnels and stuff, because it's not practical, is it, having these big beer barrels. It didn't happen. It's just a fallacy. It did not happen. They were tiny little gun barrels. Now, of course, I can only show you a few things about this place, but it is actually 22 acres, believe it or not, this entire fort. So there will be plenty that I miss showing you round. Another little myth to expel, though, is I've heard some people say that the underground networks, all the way from Dover down to Chatham, are all completely connected. They're actually not. It is unfortunately a myth. It's good that it's a myth, because had they been, they would have been really easy to blow up, and if one flooded, they all flooded. So they're not all connected. There's ways in and out of all of them, but not connected to all of them, if you know what I mean. So this is literally the top of the fort. If I have sounded out of breath at points, it's because I am, because it is rather high. I don't actually know if you can see all the way over there. That is Rochester Cathedral, and just behind that is the castle. Now, I've been on top of there and I thought the view was good there. This is so much higher, it's crazy. My camera doesn't really do it justice, to be fair. Now, this place is most famous for its original use, and its original use was, of course, a Napoleonic fortress to defend against the French. Of course, it was put to good use after that in both the World Wars. World War II, if you go into the tunnels, unfortunately, I couldn't really do any monologues in there, because the sound is just god awful in there. Just there's no hope, but it's very interesting. I would suggest, if you're from Chatham and you think it's a horrible place, come to this little gem. It's great. It's a great place to take your kids and that as well. If you want to take them a bit of history, they do guided tours. This is not an advert, by the way. I'm just telling you that there is still remaining beauty in dying towns. And say what you want about Chatham, many do, but there are still beautiful little hidden gems here that, if it all gets too much, It's all rather peaceful as well. What's interesting is they're always dead. Like, look, there's absolutely not a soul. Not a soul. Oh, interesting. Before I forget, we have an amphitheatre, which is pretty cool. I think they used to use this for entertainment for soldiers and stuff, and obviously military exercises and stuff as well, speeches and whatnot. But yeah, it's all dead interesting. Too many cannons, if you ask me. Far too many. So in summary, Chatham as a whole, not so much. But it does still contain some really historical relics and some absolutely beautiful sites that are really well maintained, and you should check out when you get the chance. It'll make you feel English. God bless.